It is quite frustrating to see this, just cycle and cycle of people being treated this way, in the sense that, no reforms are going to fix it and no accountability is going to come. And I hope that happens. I can just tell you, as a former prosecutor and the son of a police officer and a brother to two police officers, that we can do much better, and I've seen much better. I've seen the best of law enforcement in my family and the police officer I've worked with. But a lot of that is because of the training. In our county, we have invested millions in every class that goes through an academy, and that was part of what House Democrats passed back in the fall, and almost every Republican voted against, was to increase grants to smaller departments to provide training. Also, Alicia, as I looked at this body cam footage, what was quite disturbing to me was one, they had subdued, or they'd at least been able to control one of Tyree's hands. And when you have control of the hands, you're supposed to put handcuffs on immediately. Even if you have just one, you put a cuff on. The fact that they didn't do that showed, one, a lack of training, but two, an intent to actually deliver these body blows that ultimately led to his death. And also in California, we passed a duty to intercede on every police officer. So if you see another officer acting in the way that these officers conducted themselves, you actually have to intervene and stop them. And that's something that they could do on the state level. But yes, there's so much more we can do with what's been introduced in the House, whether it's the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act or just giving law enforcement officers more training.
I mean, I don't need to tell you, Congressman, because you've met with these advocates yourself, that they're advocates who will say that training is not sufficient, that you still need to look at this bigger question, something like qualified immunity. I wonder, when you're having these discussions with your colleagues, your sense of what stands in the way of something actually getting done. What is it?
I just don't accept this argument that you either have police who are unaccountable, completely unaccountable, or no police at all. Because I certainly do not support any defund the police movement. I actually think that, there's this great big center in America who believes that you should be safe in your community, the police should be accountable, there should be body cameras on every officer, that they should be held accountable in the court of law if they don't meet the standards that we expect, and that we also should invest in their training, and we should pay them and hold them up, as some of the best in our community. And if you do that and you invest in the police, that you'll see better outcomes. So I think there's a lot more that we can do that we're just not doing right now. And again, I've had a front row seat to this, as early as I can remember. But what I see right now is, untrained police officers, a failure to take on some of the inherent biases that exist, which also can, come out of training. And what you're seeing is, more and more cases like this in every corner of America.
I want to ask you about another disturbing video released this week showing the attack on Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi. Can you just talk about sort of this moment we find ourselves in, where you have politically motivated violence? You yourself, you have faced these threats. I mean, does showing this to the public change that narrative at all?
It's hard to watch, and I understand why, the speaker said yesterday that she does not want to watch it. But the reason I have chosen, to put the threats that come at us out to the public is, one, for the public to understand that, the smears that many people in politics make actually have consequences. They inspire individuals to carry out violence. And what you heard from the individual who attacked Paul Pelosi is very much what you hear from Donald Trump, Speaker McCarthy, and the far right. And when there's a failure to condemn it, it's taken by some of these individuals as it's condoned, and that their violence has a green light or a open lane. And that's why it's important that Republicans and Democrats everywhere condemn violence. For example, as people go out tonight and throughout the weekend, to protest the Tyre Nichols killing, I hope that we do it peacefully. And I absolutely will always condemn anyone that will carry out violence to enact their political will. But that has to come from all of us.
Congressman, I've got about a minute left. I don't need to tell you there are so many pressing issues facing Congress. You have Speaker McCarthy, though, somehow choosing this is the moment to settle old grievances, blocking you from serving on the House Intel Committee. What does that tell you about what we can expect from this Republican majority?
Yes, it's going to be a majority that essentially will seek to to obstruct justice for their own benefit. It doesn't help anyone who is hoping this majority would take on the cost of gas and groceries, which are, by the way, coming down, or reduce healthcare costs, keep kids safe in schools. No, it's a land of misfit toys, and it will be the shortest Republican majority in the history of Republican majorities.